Hello and welcome on to an emergency pod of the ISO Ball podcast with your host, Derek Terrio. Again, we have Nick Raponi joining me for what is probably the biggest blockbuster trade of the summer.
Man, I'm excited.
This is going to be an exciting one, ladies and gentlemen. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the show because, like I said, it will be a good one. So what we have here right now is a trade between the Toronto Raptors and the San Antonio Spurs involving Kawhi Leonard, involving DeMar DeRozan. It's a blockbuster. Like it's unbelievable. We talked about this on the last pod. There was some rumblings around how this was going to happen. Maybe some of the possible trade packages that put together, and it came together.
I remember saying on the last pod
that there was no conceivable package if he was a rental.
Exactly, and that's because I didn't think San Antonio would accept this trade.
Thank you. I totally agree.
That, so that's why I didn't propose it.
Yeah, me too. No, I totally agree with you.
I love the trade. I think for the Raptors and for San Antonio in a way. I think the Raptors ultimately, comparing both situations of both teams, I think the Raptors win the deal. But
for sure,
we don't know yet because we don't know. Kawhi's not a durable player, so we really don't know.
No, of course not. And there is something to be said. Apologies. Trying to get the link out there. There we go. So there is something to be said about his health. No question. That is definitely one of the things we'll get into. But I mean, in terms of this trade, let's give it some overarching ideas. Did you like this trade for the Raptors, the Spurs? Give me your overarching idea of what do you think of it so far?
I'll be honest. I've really only taken it in as a Raptor, someone who follows the Raptors more than they follow any other NBA team. So I'm really looking at it from a Raptors perspective more than a Spurs perspective. So, but right now I will say this. I think the Raptors won this trade, as I said, but
I agree.
I think it's still good both teams because the Raptors next year, their pick they give up is probably going to be in the late 20s. So it's fine. I'll give that up. Hurdle does things for you on the court, but he's a guy that I'm okay with moving on from when you get Kawhi Leonard.
I agree.
And obviously there is DeMar DeRozan, who absolute Raptors legend on and off the court. It's tough to see him go because he's done so many great things for this city.
I totally agree.
Like you don't know unless you live here. That's all I can say. He does so much on and off the court, and like I will always have respect for him. Totally. I have his jersey. I have a T-shirt. Like I'm a huge DeMar fan. I'll always be.
For sure. And there's a couple jerseys sitting. I think one is in this room. I think it's in my brother's room, actually. But it's a DeMar DeRozan jersey. And you won't catch me burning that one because there has been an absolute influx of support for DeMar DeRozan from the Toronto community, and rightfully so. So we'll get it. I want to get into kind of what DeMar meant for this city and all that sort of stuff in a second. But let's just kind of go through the parameters of the trade.
Yeah.
So the Raptors are getting Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, who is on an expiring deal, which we just talked about right before we got on here, which is great value considering you're not taking on any long-term money for Danny Green.
He opted into his player option this year, so he's an unrestricted free agent next year.
Yep, beautiful. That's good to see. And so the Raptors are getting Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, and the Spurs are getting DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a 2019 first-rounder, which is top 20 protected, but will convey to 2 seconds in 2020 if the Raptors end up keeping that pick.
Yeah.
So that's a good little piece of negotiation there in case, Kawhi flops or he's injured again and the Raptors, that probably won't happen in the sense that they'll be.
But you never know.
Exactly. You're giving yourself some protection there. And so that's some great piece of negotiating from Masai Ujiri, and that's going to be a theme as we keep going forward.
But so the guy's the GOAT. Like as an executive.
Unbelievable.
Like that guy in today's NBA, that guy with the salary cap, he has been able to do so much.
I know. Hats off. Totally. And I tweeted there should be a statue of Masai Ujiri right beside the DeMar DeRozan one because he has just been doing so many incredible things, whether it's getting good value in the low 20s, whether it's you understand that Jakob Poeltl still stems from the Bargnani tree.
No, I know. This tree is growing. Yeah, this tree will always grow.
This tree will never stop growing. So when you consider that and how much value you're getting out of just every single player that Masai gets onto this roster, I just think it would be hard pressed for him not to be in the top tier of league executives at this point, right there with Daryl Morey.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone argues that. I think
I would hope not.
Commonly.
Good. I hope so. I hope so. But I just want to reiterate that just in case, there might be some differing of opinions. So on the Raptors side, the first thing I want to say about DeMar DeRozan was that he's just an incredible Raptor. We're not taking anything away from DeMar DeRozan. Nothing but good things to say about him off the court, and very, very few things poorly to say about him on the court outside of maybe some of the poor defensive stretches, maybe a little bit more than that, and just the poor playoff performances. Yep. Outside of that, you think you can anything else that you want to say bad about DeMar?
No, nothing.
Me either. So now that we understand how valuable DeMar really was from the perspective of perennial 50-win team, really embodies off the court, he just never cheated us with effort every single year. And especially the year after we gave him the 5-year deal, he came back and had one of his best seasons as a Raptor.
He didn't take a summer off.
Not a damn second. It's unbelievable, really. Just the fact that he never cheated us with effort. He was always a guy that was, you can just count on to be a guy that really embodies and was really a good example to the young guys of how to work.
He is the definition of not being a talker, but he is a leader by example. Like one of my favorite DeMar, like you said, with the young guys, he's one of the best guys to have around because he leads by example. And this is one of the greatest stories about DeMar.
Go ahead.
When he was on the USA Olympic team, he went before practices with the USA Olympic team. They had to let him in. The place was locked for him to work on his game and work in the gym by himself before Team USA's practice.
That's insanity.
I didn't
even know that.
The guy never took time off. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard about DeMar, and I don't doubt it.
I mean, let's face it. Are we doubting that story? Probably no.
No.
Probably not even for a damn second. So, I mean, we love DeMar. We don't want to take anything from DeMar, but let's transition into kind of what this means. So now that we understand how much we value DeMar, the question becomes how much, because that really is the question: is how much do we value DeMar? We don't clearly value him as much as LeBron James.
No,
and we don't value him as low as Andrew Wiggins. So there's of course, right? So there has to be a value to DeMar DeRozan, and I think that is probably what people are getting kind of stuck on when we start this this trip.
Because there is I'm fine with it, but there is the argument that DeMar DeRozan, he's a long-time rapper, a guy who wants to be a rapper. A guy who wants
Compton, maybe he wants to be a rapper.
Yeah. But in today's NBA, or not today's NBA, any NBA since the Raptors have been a part of it, stars, we're not an attractive place for stars. All in all, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not we're not a free agent destination by any means.
Totally fair.
So to have a guy who, no matter what, saying, DeMar, I want to be a Raptor. I want to play for one team my whole career. And then just letting him go after, from what I hear, he was told he wouldn't be traded. Just letting him go, it's tough. It's hard for him. So I feel bad for DeMar.
I definitely do too. There was a time at which, not a time at which, there is a report that he was blindsided a little bit by the organization, and that he was told he wasn't going to be traded at Summer League.
Yeah, apparently
and
a month
we've
ago,
seen the opposite. Yeah, exactly. So that's tough. I'm not going to lie. That's tough to know that we did him dirty a little bit like that. And Lou Williams echoed that sentiment, and so did Enes Kanter. But I don't care for a second what he has to say.
Oh, a lot of people.
Oh yeah, a lot of NBA guys.
Yeah,
a lot of NBA.
They had DeMar's back.
Yeah,
sure.
100%. So again, let's get back to what DeMar's value is. So his value to me relies on two things. Number one, what he can do when it counts most. That's the playoffs. We know what DeMar can do in the regular season, and we can trade for plenty of players that can supplement what DeMar does in the regular season.
No, I know what you're saying.
It's the playoffs, to me, that really determines his value. Like, let's face it, he has nothing to prove anymore in the regular season. We know he's an all-NBA guy in the regular season. It's the playoffs.
No,
do you disagree with me there?
No, I don't disagree at all. Yeah.
So that's one portion. The second portion is how much are we willing to give DeMar on his next deal? So what are the chances we brought him back on a decent contract after this one is up, right? Yeah. So after this one is up, he'll have 2 more years left on his current deal, with the third year having a $27 million player option in year 3. Whether he takes that or not is kind of still up for debate. But my question is when he's 31 and at that point, if you're the Raptors, you have no choice but to give him the Supermax.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to.
You want to at 31?
That's the question.
Exactly.
Is if you give him a 5-year Supermax, are you going to want to pay him $40 million at 35, 36?
No, I would not.
Me either. Yeah. Me either. And you're right not to want to do that, because that's a risky proposition, and that pretty much handcuffs you when you're trying to go down the road and rebuild. Yep. So that's another question you have to take into account. And so between those two things, it really kind of puts into perspective as to what the Raptors were thinking when they made this trade. They're thinking about the future.
Oh, of course. They know DeMar at that age is not going to be worth the Supermax.
Exactly.
Like you just said. So that's why moving on. Like, what would you, moving on? Even if Kawhi leaves after a year, realistically, just starts a rebuild.
Exactly. And we're going to get into that in a second. So, like I said, that would be a big decision for the Raptors. Do you want to pay DeMar the $34 million, like $40 million, which will probably be what the Supermax will be in terms of
roughly, give or take.
Yeah, because if you don't know the way the max contracts work is it works as a percentage of the cap. So you have a 25% max, a 30% max, and a 35% max, and it's based on tenure, your ability to reach things like All-Star, All-NBA, All-Defensive Player incentives. Exactly. So you have to hit those incentives to be able to actually be eligible for these percentages of the max.
But so DeMar hits.
DeMar does hit them. He's been All-Star all the years. I think you have to be All-Star, All-NBA, or All-Defensive or MVP for a certain amount of period. I think of what it is. I'm a little bit blurry about the exact parameters of that, but the big decision for the Raptors is, do you want to do that? And the way Masai set this up in the summer of 2017 is he set this up for a 3-year window.
Yeah, exactly.
And he set this up for a 3-year window, and that's evident by the fact that Kyle Lowry got the 3-year, $100 million. Exactly. That lines exactly up with DeMar's contract and when that ends.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fans are skipping over that. They just think we're going to win forever.
You can't blame these fans because DeMar is a guy who Toronto's fell in love with.
Yes, it's true.
Ultimately, that's what it is. So when you see him getting blindsided, getting traded like that, and the casual NBA fan should know Kawhi Leonard, but some don't realize how good he is because he didn't play all of last year.
Of course.
But Kawhi is easily a top 5 player. You can
in the NBA, not in the East, not in the West, in the entire league.
So they don't wait till they see what they're getting.
Yes.
That's what I gotta say. But is DeMar worth a potential rental? Giving rid of DeMar for a potential rental? I think, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is that, okay, so now we realize that there's this window that Masai has set up and that we're not going to win forever. This is not fantasy land. We're not going to win forever. Kyle Lowry's not going to be 30 forever. DeMar's not going to be 29 forever. It's just the nature of the league. So you have to think in the future. Now, so realistically, if you think about it, this is the way I broke it down. If Kawhi stays for 1 year and just leaves next year, it means essentially we start the rebuild. We start the rebuild just a year early.
Exactly.
A year early. And it's coming. It's inevitable. That's the part I think the fans are missing. It's inevitable. You're not going to escape the fact that these guys are aging and their deals are going to be up soon. It's going to be a rebuild at some point. So
does it happen in 2 years or 1? It's worth taking Kawhi and letting it happen in 1.
Exactly. So your alternative is keeping DeRozan. And that means, okay, you get an extra year of DeRozan on his current deal, and you get to run the squad back. But, I mean, you're doing it with a rookie head coach.
Exactly.
A Boston team that's only getting better with uber amounts of assets that only can get better, and a Philly team who's clearly getting better as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, we've shown that we've had some struggles in the playoffs, and to think that there's just going to be a switch that gets flipped because Nick Nurse is now the head coach.
That's one thing you got to remember. Masai wasn't scared to fire Dwayne Casey.
No, he was not.
So he's not scared to get rid of the star either.
Exactly.
So Masai means business.
Exactly. And that's why I respect Masai. He's in for the best interest of the team and the team only. Exactly. And you got to love that for a general manager. So that's essentially it, is that there's a window here. There's a window for winning. And then if you are going to keep DeMar DeRozan, you have to understand that comes with a risk. That comes with a risk of getting to the same place and being complacent with getting to the second round, not getting any further, getting swept, getting swept the past few years, but I mean, getting beat by Boston, getting beat by Philly. Why would you want to just fall into that trap of complacency instead of sending out DeMar DeRozan, getting Kawhi Leonard back, and now, let's face it, there's a chance we can go to the finals.
Exactly. We go to the finals, it's all worth it.
Exactly.
We go to the final. It is all
exactly. And you know what? People are saying, "Oh, well, he wants to go to the Lakers." Oh my goodness, like he's never going to want to stay in Toronto. Well, I know a fellow by the name of Paul George that thought the same thing.
Exactly. He went to OKC. Everyone's like, "Oh, OKC, small market. Exactly. He's not going to want to play there. He's just probably going to."
Exactly. And he stayed after they lost in the first round, led by a rookie in Donovan Mitchell.
I will say though, Toronto doesn't have a Russell Westbrook.
Of course not.
You know what I mean? So there's that incentive.
Sure. I definitely will give you that. That is definitely true. But there is a nice core of rookies here that very few teams can say that they have. I mean, DeLon Wright.
Not rookies, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Sorry, my apologies. Young core talent. Yeah. I mean, DeLon Wright, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. I'm just scratching the iceberg there. And even those three guys in itself are such a nice little core you have going forward. And that's to me is attractive to play with.
And Pirtle was expendable.
Yes.
Trade. Although he was a young budding player, I think he was still expendable.
And this is a great time to talk about this. I can't believe Siakam and OG weren't in this trade.
No.
I mean,
that was the part of this trade I was like,
I'm still scratching my head.
Last podcast when we said, you know, there's no trade conceivable that I'd really do because I thought OG and Siakam both would probably have to.
Yes.
So I was like, no. Then when I find out it's just Pirtle,
that's it.
No disrespect to Pirtle, but
no disrespect to Pirtle at all. But let's face it, we've talked about this in previous pods. The center position is the least valued position in the NBA, and we can bring back Bebe Nogueira. We can go out and get Noah Vonleh. We can go out and get David West on the free agent maker. Yeah, we could. He's an unrestricted free agent. Yeah, I mean, we still have our tax pyramid level at 8.6, and otherwise it would have to be minimums because we don't have any more room under the cap. But using a tax pyramid level at 8.6, and even if you use only half of that, you can go out and get a guy that's going to be able to contribute for you off the bench.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, even if you were to go out and get a guy like that,
but we don't really necessarily need to.
No. Well, I mean, we got to fill out the roster. We got to fill out the roster. But outside of that, I agree with you. We don't really need much more of that talent, and so it's really interesting to me. And I just think that what needs to be understood is that there is a window. And this was a calculated risk. This is not let's cross our fingers and just hope we're making the finals. And if not, okay, that's it. We're done. No,
I set it up.
Yes, exactly. So that is really what needs to be kind of, talked about here is that there. And another thing too is that we trade for Kawhi's bird rights. We can offer him a bigger contract than anybody in the entire league.
Does money matter to him?
That's another question. Exactly.
I don't know, but if it does, we got the advantage.
Exactly. Fair enough. And money is definitely a big decision maker when it comes to this sort of stuff. And especially when you're Kawhi Leonard, you're 27 and 28. I mean, let's face it, long-term stability, that's your big payday. Yeah. Like if you're going to go and secure the bag, that 5 years, $190 million, by the time you're 32 and that contract is done, like you're gonna have a hard time finding that contract again, unless you prove you can win a championship or
then you're again.
I know
what you're saying.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? So that's another thing. And just from the Raptors' perspective, JV has a $17 million player option. I expect him to pick that up. To be honest, I expect him to pick that up. CJ has one for 8.7. I'm not sure if he picks that up. We're gonna see. The cap is going up a little bit. Maybe
I think he'll pick it up. He's getting older. I think he'll pick it up.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe he sees an opportunity to go out there and maybe trying to get some more money for a last payday. I think he's like 31 or something like that. So it's possible that
be a little
total
older,
dollars.
But I'm not 100%.
Okay, fair enough. It could be in a scenario where total dollars mean more to him than just like a yearly salary, which is possible. And then you have 3 team options in Malachi Richardson, OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam. Maybe a couple of those guys you might want to kind of bring back and not risk them having test unrestricted free agency. But I mean, there's some flexibility here for the Raptors. And I mean, if the alternative to losing Kawhi is that you have 2019 flexibility where you have guys like Clay, KD, Jimmy Butler, Kyrie, and let's face it.
That's the big point.
Yeah, that's the point, is that you're gaining flexibility in a market that is very, very lucrative for your team. And that's not to say that they're going to be an attractive destination to all of these guys, but let's face it. Like I hate to think that Toronto is played out as this unattractive destination that everyone makes it out like to be, like, in all honesty. Like, I don't think it is personally. No, and maybe I'm biased because I live here, but
yeah, I know. But I know what you mean, but it's just there's something exactly. We live there, something about they live in America.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not everyone's like that. I'm not saying everyone's like that, but there's something that's unattractive about Canada. But may I talk about Stephen A. Smith?
Go ahead. Go in.
I am not happy with Stephen A. Smith.
I do not blame you for a second.
He quoted Kawhi as being, or not quoted Kawhi, sorry. He said in a quote, Kawhi, basically he was saying because Kawhi, as acting the way he did, he was exiled to Canada. Exiled.
That choice of words is very disturbing, in my opinion. Very, very disturbing. I mean, exiled. We think of you getting exiled to Azkaban. Like, if we're talking about Harry Potter, like we're like Alcatraz.
Like yeah, no, it's. I was disgusted by it. Like, oh yeah, exiled to a realistically, yeah, we got more higher taxes.
Yeah,
but exactly. Exiled to a country that's not led by treasonous, racist, sexist.
Like, he's not going to North Korea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like that's what Stephen A. is making it seem like, and I was really not a fan of those comments personally from his perspective. I think he should know better than that. Like, as an analyst covering the league, you should know better than to call Canada a country to be exiled to. Like I just think there's negligence.
And then he
on
said
his
something
part.
about compared to Siberia and stuff. Like I don't know if Stephen A. Smith's ever even been to Canada.
I'm sure he has.
But if you,
I think he would have had to because of the playoffs in 2016. I'm sure he would, and because he was in the conference, they were in the conference finals, right? So he would have had to cover LeBron at some point.
So he's a damn fool.
Yeah, he is a damn fool.
I hope next time he's in Toronto, he's heckled.
Yeah, me too.
I don't like him. Lost all respect for you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Never respected Skip Bayless, but now I don't respect you either.
And you know what? This is a very fitting statement considering it sounds like you're doing it when you say this. Stay off the weed.
Exactly.
Because that's what it sounds like when you're calling Canada a country that you are considered exiled to.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting. I have no tolerance for that whatsoever.
Yeah,
okay, I don't even want to spend any more time on him because it's ridiculous. So, again, we determined flexibility, 2 options. Here's the bottom line for the Kawhi Leonard situation. Kawhi stays. We get the best player in the Eastern Conference. It's an absolute fleece. It's going to go down in history as one of the
exactly.
the absolute best trades that the Raptors have ever made and maybe the league has ever made. Okay? Maybe
discrediting DeMar DeRozan a little.
Well, I'm just going off Kawhi's 2-time MVP, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, NBA champion. You cannot just ignore these accolades. I mean, DeMar DeRozan is a 4-time All-Star and a 3rd-team All-NBA. All right, did he make second team one year actually? Maybe second and third team. Maybe second and 1 second team and 1 third team. Kawhi has been, I think, 1st team All-NBA a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, and at least 2nd team NBA a couple times as well.
Yeah, but the only question with Kawhi is the durability.
Yeah,
it's always been the question.
Okay, so let's get into that. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, is he healthy? Is he healthy?" Well,
he's damn healthy. He just sat out a whole year.
Well, not just that, but I heard he's trying to report to the USA media camp to go play. So if you're doing that, you're sure as hell better be healthy because you're not playing basketball without you being.
He's just showcasing, but I don't know if he's going to do it now because now he has a team. So I don't know if he has to showcase.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I mean in all seriousness. I mean it realistically. In all seriousness, I do.
Yeah, so I mean, it's I personally don't think it's a big deal, and what I think is even less of a big deal is people say he's going to hold out, he's not going to play for us. Like, I just find a hard time believing that.
Yeah,
the NBA,
he wants to get it. I mean, we can pay him the most. I don't know if money's the most important thing, but he still wants to earn his contract. Sitting out 2 years in a row, you're not going to earn nearly as much of a contract. He's going to play this year. I don't know how much he's going to play because he wants to get that big contract next year. Maybe he's. I don't know. Maybe he only plays a little. Maybe who knows?
This is the thing that's tough about Kawhi is it's tough to know what his motives are. No one really knows. He's such a quiet, under the radar guy, not a very marketable personality, and that speaks volumes because we really don't know where he's coming from.
No, exactly. For all we know, he could love Toronto.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Right?
Like Kawhi is I remember I saw what tweet someone's he hasn't laughed since the ninth grade, or 2009 or something like that.
That's what I mean. It's just wild that he's just an unpredictable personality, and I think that lends itself to be more positive than negative to the Raptors because all signs point to the fact that he's not coming back and he doesn't want to play here. Right. And so, let's face it, Isaiah, when he got traded to the Lakers, said, "I'm not playing for the Lakers. I'm coming off the bench."
No,
he definitely came off the bench and he played. He played because his agent's going to kick him in the ass and say, "Hey, if you don't play, you have a worse thing coming to you."
But he just signed for a minimum.
He just signed for the minimum with Denver. I agree. But okay, fair enough. But the point is that it makes you look worse if you're trying to hold out on a team and not play because I don't like this franchise or whatever. Yeah. We're winners. We're in the playoffs.
So is San Antonio.
Yes,
more winners than Toronto.
Yeah, good point. That is a very good point. But at the same time, I think it's going to look worse on him for him not to show up to camp or whatever it is and just expect that to be okay. Yes.
He'll play.
Yeah. Let's stop talking about that shit because that's not going to happen. Here's another thing I want to talk about. When it comes to Kawhi Leonard, I want to know one thing. I want to know, do you think that Kawhi, we're going to have to change our system a little bit for Kawhi? Or do you think Kawhi, because it's tough to say because he's one of those guys that really fit well in the Spurs system.
Yeah.
He really was able to, move the ball. He's not a high maintenance star.
There's going to be slight changes. There's going to be slight changes to work with Kawhi, but realistically, we don't have to change the offense.
No.
Opinion. You really don't, because Kawhi can just adapt to this offense very well. His skill set will adapt very well to this offense.
You know what? I tend to agree with that sentiment, and I wanted to bring it up just because I wanted your opinion on that, and maybe there's some other differing opinions, but I think this is as good a time as ever to talk maybe about the on-the-court impact because we have some really crazy lineups we can throw as the Raptors. And, I mean, if you want to go big, we got a lineup. You want to go small, we got a lineup. You want an all-bench unit, we got a lineup. You want to do absolutely anything, this Raptors roster is set for anything.
For sure, they'll take you.
Okay, so here's my projected starters, and we got one that we want to talk about so we can have a conversation about it as well. Kyle Lowry starting at point guard, Danny Green at shooting guard, Kawhi Leonard at the 3. You can go OG or Serge at the 4. That's a little discretionary to me. Maybe Serge might be a little bit more, off the bench, might provide a little bit more of a scoring punch and maybe some rim protection as well. And then JV at the 5. Now, that's the one that you wanted to talk about that we think he's going to start, but you might have a little aspersions on that. What do you think about that?
Like, we'll see. Because I can very well see them rolling with Serge at the 5, OG Siakam at the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi at the 3, Green at the 2,
okay,
at the 1. I can see that. I don't know. And then JV off the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I wouldn't mind that, But at the same time, you can start JV and then play him 20, 23 minutes a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like you're gonna have to work a lot of minutes with Serge at the 5.
Yeah.
Put it that way. In my opinion, Serge is gonna play a lot of minutes at the 5.
Yeah.
A lot.
And I mean, let's face it, JV is used to that. Actually, there was an article that was so funny that Nick Nurse. You know those times where JV would play and he'd get yanked out of the first quarter and you wouldn't see him again.
Yeah.
You literally would not see him again. There were times where at the end of the first quarter, Nick Nurse would actually go and hang JV the ball so he could touch it because he wouldn't touch the ball for that long of a stretch. He needed to just feel the ball. Yeah. And I'm not sure if that's an aspersion on the Raptors or the system or Casey or Nurse or whoever, but it just kind of tells you that like that's the way JV has been used.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. But like you can utilize JV well. His contract's always going to be a little rough until it's off the books.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he has shown improvements in a couple areas that have made it more and more, tolerable. Exactly.
But ultimately, he can't play more than 25 minutes.
No, especially not with all this versatility on this roster. No, I totally would agree with you. Okay, so we project that as a starter. So on your bench, you got Fred VanVleet, who we brought back on 2 years, $18 million. DeLon Wright, CJ Miles is on the last year of his deal, Pascal Siakam, and then Sergio OG, depending whoever's in the lineup is obviously the other one will be on the bench. So you want to go big? We got something for you. Kyle Lowry, who is still a switchable defender. Yeah, he low center of gravity. You're not going to heat him up in the post. He's going to dig you, exactly. And you'll have Kawhi, OG, Pascal, and Jonas Valanciunas. And even if you want to throw Serge at the 5 in that spot too, I don't mind that either. So, but think about this. You got Kyle Lowry, who's the smallest guy on the floor. Kawhi is what, 6'8"? OG is what, 6'9"? Pascal is what, 6'9"?
Is OG 6'9"?
I think he's like 6'8", or something along those lines. And then JV Serge again 6'10" to 7 feet anywhere you see in there. You want to go small? We got a lineup for you too. Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, DeLon Wright, Kawhi Leonard, and Serge Ibaka. You can even throw CJ Miles in there if you want to replace him for DeLon or FVV if you want more shooting in that lineup. There's just so much versatility here.
Nick Nurse has a lot to play with.
Yes, a ton of tools to use.
Dwayne Casey is probably thinking, oh, come on, man. I leave and then you get Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, man. He must be. And LeBron leaves the guy in the conference.
This guy is like.
Oh,
and
my
now he's
goodness.
in Detroit.
Oh my goodness. And he's got to use Blake Griffin. Oh my goodness. That's tough. But
I still love Andre
Drummond. I do like Drummond, and I think you're going to see a lot of improvements from him this year. Yeah. But back to the Raptors, like we've never had a defensive stopper like this. Like PJ Tucker we had, and he was pretty good, but actually, I mean, obviously wasn't good enough to stop LeBron. We clearly saw that. Kawhi is the closest thing to the LeBron stopper this league has.
And we got him.
But
I mean, he's in the
West. We won't need him now anymore. But let's face it, if that's the guy we had trouble with, and that's the LeBron stopper, we'll call him the Giannis stopper, the John Wall stopper, the Ben Simmons stopper. Yeah, exactly. the Kyrie stopper.
He's the club.
He's the I'm calling him the clamps. Yeah. He's the clamps here because it does not matter who your best player is. We got Kawhi, and that's all you need to. That's all you need to hear. Your star is in for a tough night every night. Yeah, every single night, and I don't care who you are. Like that's the crazy part is that in the past it's like okay, these guys might have an edge on this. It does not matter. Exactly. Kawhi is a 2-time defensive player of the year, and he's going to stop anybody.
More career steals than fouls.
Yeah, I remember that stat. Like that's another thing too. He doesn't foul. He doesn't foul, man.
He gives you the best defense without fouling.
He's
never going to foul out of the game.
He'll never be in foul trouble. You'll never have to put him on the bench. Like it's just like there's so many things that like is crazy to talk about. And if you watch Kawhi tactically on defense, one of the things he does when he's playing on the ball is that when you get the shot up, he doesn't leave his feet until the shot is in the air.
No, I know.
Because his arms are so long, his instincts are so quick that you have to shoot it like sky. You have to have a Jamal Crawford shot to get it over that contest.
He has. I don't know if he's full human. There's got to be some robot in him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
What did Fizdale say? He's like, I stood beside him for like 3.5 minutes and I didn't see him breathe once.
No,
it was like,
I didn't hear that. But again,
like Fizz said something along those lines. Like I think he's a robot. And I don't disagree.
Yeah, like it's absolutely insane. And again, I'm throwing names out there: Oladipo, Wall, Beal, Giannis. I don't care. We have Kawhi Leonard. That's all you need to know. Okay, that's all you need to know. So. We are very excited.
If Kawhi is healthy going into the playoffs, it's looking good.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So to these fans that are skeptical about this trade, are emotionally attached to DeMar DeRozan, look, we understand. We're very sad to see DeMar go. Yeah. It's gonna be pain me to look at that jersey knowing the great times that he's done and the great things he's done for the city. But if you're a Raptor fan, you're a Raptor fan, not a DeMar fan, not a Kyle fan. You're a Raptor fan, and you want the best for this team. And what Masai has done, and we've outlined this over the past half hour, we talked about it, was the best decision for this team now and in the future.
Exactly.
And I don't think there's any debate around that at this very moment. And I think we can leave it at that from the Raptor side. Maybe we'll visit a couple topics as we come back. So just briefly on the Spurs side, I know most of you here listening are Raptor fans, so that's why we wanted to get that out of the way. But we just touch on the Spurs. So the Spurs are over the cap, but under the tax. Exactly. They're under the tax. So that's good. So they're not paying anything extra to have DeMar get in there. And the Spurs are going to get a player who's going to help them win right now. Like DeMar is, like we've said, DeMar's a good player. Like he's an all-star.
Exactly.
Like he's
he does in the play.
Yeah, exactly. He's a bona fide all-star. He's the best player on this team. I don't think you can say LaMarcus Aldridge is better than him.
No, DeMar's the best one.
Yeah, exactly. So DeMar's going to help provide that scoring punch that they lacked last year. And who knows what DeMar has been working on this offseason. I mean, that's another thing that's put into effect. For the last 6 years, DeMar has added something to his game every single year.
So what's to make you think that he's not going to get better?
Exactly.
With Pop, too.
Exactly. Yeah. Incredible, right? Unbelievable.
Well, so him and Kawhi are going to be meeting soon at the USA if Kawhi goes.
It's very true. I'm interested to see how that dynamic works. But so he's a very good playmaker. When Kyle went off the floor last year, we saw that there were some playmaking skills there and was starting to shoot the three, especially early January, at a clip that was real respectable. I remember that, that 52-point game against Milwaukee, January 2nd. Yeah. He was shooting the lights out. Yeah. And we thought, is this the new DeMar DeRozan where he's hitting miss from three? Exactly. And he's going to eat you up in the post, in the mid-range on the three? Exactly, right? So, there's something to be said about that. Like maybe DeMar comes back with a 3-pointer shooting it at 38%, shooting 6 a game, and we're like, wow, that's unbelievable. So there's something to be said about there as well. Now the defense is obviously one of the reasons why we didn't keep him around. Like let's face it, Nick Nurse, before he got traded, mentioned in the summer league that and we talked about this in the last pod, that they wanted to put him on their best offensive player, not because it was going to benefit them and wins in the regular season, but it was going to prepare him for the playoffs. And so, does Pop employ that same strategy? Maybe not. He's a great coach. I don't really doubt anything he's going to do. Exactly. I don't really doubt anything. Yep, I don't really doubt anything he's going to do. But obviously, there's questions there, and there's a reason why he didn't stick around like that. So. In terms of the Spurs playoff picture, I mean, they could make the playoffs. I mean, I think this team could make the playoffs. Will. I mean, this team, I haven't gone through all the teams and stuff like that. West obviously still very competitive.
They'll probably get a 7-8 spot.
Yeah, exactly. But then if you're DeMar DeRozan and you've had problems in the East, wait till you get to the West where you got to face Houston or Golden State and you're going to see those clamp defenders on you.
DeMar, that's going to be tough. But I don't know what DeMar is. DeMar will come through.
You think?
He'll still be fine. I don't know if he's going to have the exact same numbers, but he'll still be fine.
I have questions. I think that was one of the big things. I have questions about the West is a lot tougher than the East, especially in the playoffs. It's a different animal. And so if you had trouble in the East, though, I can only imagine what's going to happen in the West. So there's definitely questions there. And I mean, other than that, is the Spurs system going to cater to DeMar DeRozan's skills and vice versa? That's definitely a question you have to ask.
He'll be fine. I think
he'll be fine as well. Yeah. DeMar's a very adaptable player. He really just wants to win. That's why we love him.
Him gelling into that system. No, there will not.
I don't think so either. LaMarcus Aldridge is already a little bit of an ISO scorer, so they really know how to manage that sort of thing. Obviously, LaMarcus will probably be asked to, give the ball up a little more to DeRozan. Obviously, you're a better scorer, So we'll see how that dynamic works. But I guess we'll just touch on lastly just Jakob Poeltl. I mean, he could be the starting center for the future of the Spurs, and I mean that doesn't make it a great trade for them, but at least addresses an issue.
Yeah, exactly. Poeltl is a player that hustles. He gives you productive minutes, but I'm not going to say he's stopping me from pulling the trigger on Kawhi Leonard. So that's why
I think he's pulling the trigger for Kawhi Leonard.
Including DeMar DeRozan as a throw.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Sorry, I took that out of context. My apologies. Okay,
but as a piece, as a throw-in,
not at all.
He's expendable.
We thought this was going to be OG and Siakam, and that hurt our hearts because we love both of those players.
Being able to just give up Poeltl, not either one of those, including both.
Exactly. Yeah, me personally, I like Siakam a little bit more than OG, but that's besides the point. But I mean, from the Spurs perspective, I mean, they're clearly trying to still win now. They don't want Pop's last years to go into a rebuild stage. No. He doesn't want to do that.
And do you think Poeltl, if given the necessary minutes in San Antonio, what do you think he could be a 10? What do you think his numbers would be?
It's tough to say in a system like Pop's because you see guys make a lot more impact outside of just regular scoring. I think Kyle Anderson was a good example of that. Actually.
And Poeltl's the type of thing.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be too quick to kind of predict some numbers per se, but I think he's going to have a very, very positive impact, and he's going to be able to earn his minutes on the floor. And I think he's going to. I think he's going to earn the starting center job. Maybe above Pau Gasol. It's very possible. Pau Gasol's 38 this year. That's old. Old AF.
We'll see what happens.
So we definitely see what happens. Okay. Let's circle back to the Raptors really quickly here. Are they better right now than the Boston Celtics? I think they're better than the Sixers. So can we agree with that? Do you think they're better than the Sixers? I think they have. I think they have the perfect lineup to match up with the Sixers. They have Danny Green who can. I think
with DeMar they were better than the Sixers.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair argument too. Just considering the roster they have now, Danny Green will not lock up, but play solid defense on JJ Redick.
Danny Green's a nice piece.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, and that's another thing we should touch on too is the switching is going to be incredible.
Danny Green's a guy who is going to give you 3-and-D.
Yes,
he is a 3-and-D guy. Everything that we hoped Norman Powell would be more consistently, I'd say, but more.
Oh, totally.
Danny Green, last year of his deal, but that's fine. We're okay with a 1-year thing. Even if him and Kawhi are both 1 year, they are both going to make an impact this year.
100%. And I can't. Oh, did I not favorite it? Oh, that's frustrating. Somebody tweeted out some of the corner 3-point shooting percentages of Fred VanVleet, Kawhi, CJ Miles, DeLon, all these guys. I don't think any of them were below 40%.
No way.
None of them were below 40%.
No.
Can you imagine Kyle Lowry running a pick and roll with Kawhi Leonard with any one of those guys in the weak side corner? That's splash zone. That is splash zone at 40% and a 40% clip.
And he's just knocking them
down. That is crazy. And then just going back quickly to the defense, I mean, none of these guys are liabilities. We have no liabilities.
No. Switch. Go ahead.
Zero. Yeah, exactly. Do whatever you want. Run a pick and roll. I dare you. Yeah. I dare you to run a pick and roll. I dare you to switch Kawhi. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's insanity. So the possibilities are endless now. What about Boston? Are we better than the Boston Celtics at full strength?
That's what I still have to think about. It's only a little bit of time.
That's tough.
Do the Celtics Marcus Smart? What's the situation with Marcus?
So it looks like they're in talks to bring him back. It looks about 4 years, $50 million is looking like the number that's going to bring back at. So it does look like he will be coming back. So that is a deterrent for the Raptors. Let's face it, he's probably one of the best defensive guards in the NBA. One of the
better ones,
for sure. Along with Josh Richardson and a few others. So. He'll definitely be a problem for guys like Kyle Lowry, even potentially guys like Kawhi Leonard, although I don't necessarily think these – I mean, Kawhi's – I think that's something we're all skipping over too. Kawhi's a scorer.
Yeah,
Kawhi gets buckets.
Yeah. More efficient than DeMar.
Yeah, exactly. Kawhi gets buckets. I can't believe we didn't even talk about this, is that let's pump the brakes on the defense and offense for a second. Do you think that Kawhi is almost it can be argued that he might be a better scorer than DeMar DeRozan in his prime in 2016?
I'm going to say he's a more efficient scorer. I don't know if he's going to say he's a better scorer.
I would probably agree with you, actually. I think he probably is a notch below DeMar in terms of maybe half a notch. But the defense is 18 billion notches above. Yeah. It's ridiculous, right? So the margin on defense makes up significantly for the margin on offense that you're losing. So let's not forget about that. Kawhi can get the buckets. If you need 25 points a game from Kawhi Leonard, I'm not ruling that out whatsoever. I think he can score 25 a game for this Raptors team.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get that right out of the way right now. Going back to kind of the switchability defensively. Now matching up with the Celtics, they got some scorers too, man. Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. Like this is a good team.
I'm gonna say that
this is a good team.
Boston's a better team, but you come to playoffs, maybe Kawhi just locks them down, and
you never know, right? The injury bug does tend to float around the NBA that time of year. So I mean, I think at this point, I don't want to call Kyrie injury prone, but let's face it, it's damn near
Gordon
that.
Hayward are both coming off injuries.
Exactly. So you don't know how it's going to play out. You don't know how to.
Not that I'm wishing them for injury or anything like that.
Of course not. Yeah. We never are. We want to see the best players play always. But I think that's a legitimate question you need to ask yourself. Are we better than the Boston Celtics? Maybe. I think we have a little bit more versatility defensively than the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Offensively, in terms of scoring, I think that's still up for debate. I think we're going to have to see the shots go down. We're going to have to see Fred VanVleet make his shots, DeLon make his shots, etc. And once we see that, I think we can revisit this conversation. But right now, I think defensively, we're probably better than Boston. Offensively, I think there's still a question out there. But if I had to guess, Boston probably a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
So that'll pretty much, I guess, wrap it up. Do you have anything else you want to say overarching? Like, okay, how excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10 as a Raptor
exactly.
fan?
10 out of 10. I'm
a 9. I'm a 9 because LeBron would be a 10.
Exactly.
That would probably be the only thing.
No, but we're not getting LeBron. It's not even a question.
All right, fair enough. Okay, fine.
Okay,
sure.
No, this is, as much as I love DeMar and everything, like I said, he's done, you don't really know unless you live Toronto, everything he's done on and off the court. Yeah. Guy's amazing. Like, always a legend. Forever a Raptor legend.
All the best.
But Kawhi, just what he does for you on the court.
Like, it's exciting.
I am pumped. All in all, I think the deal is going to do some good things for San Antonio. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think, and they got yourself a first round pick. They got Pirtle. And Kawhi wasn't going to play with them anyway. So they got a lot for a guy who wasn't going to play for them. So good for San Antonio, but at the same time, better.
Sure, totally.
That's my ultimately what I have to say.
You know what? I said we're going to wrap it up here, but there's one more thing we need to talk about. The different packages that other teams wanted to provide to San Antonio that they turned down. From what I understand, and Real GM reported this as well, is most of the San Antonio Spurs did not want a pick-heavy package.
No, they wanted something that could help them now. With Popovich.
Exactly.
He's going to retire pretty soon.
Exactly.
You don't want picks. You want talent. That's DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah. Philly was not willing to offer Embiid, Simmons, Fultz. They were willing to offer that 2021 Miami pick, which they got in the trade from Mikal Bridges. Yeah. Boston was not willing to offer Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, or Jaylen Brown.
No, so DeMar was the best thing.
Exactly. So that's what I mean, is that considering all the other offers around the league, like the Spurs took less than they could have got from other teams.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Like, I think there's an argument for that.
They wouldn't give him that, actually. So, no, I'd say they got the best they could get. I really do. I think the Spurs, they've been holding on to Kawhi for long enough. They know the market for him. This is the best they could get. Like, they didn't rush into a trade into Kawhi. No. This is something they've sat on for a long time. They've felt offers from many teams. Mm-hmm. This is the best they can get. This is not a dumb organization.
No, hell no. RC Buford is a smart guy.
This is the smartest organization in basketball.
Yes, there's a reason they've been to the playoffs 20 straight years, and before last year had 50 straight wins, 20 straight years as well, or something like that. So
you don't knock this organization. Agree. This is the best they could have got. I'm telling you right now. I'm not an insider, obviously, but like it's the best they could have got. Like they would not pull the trigger for less. Yeah, that's what they would.
Sure, fair enough, and I think I agree with you there. Now that I think about it, I mean. It all kind of depends what you're looking for as the Spurs. I mean, do you want to win now or do you want to build for the future? And I mean, clearly they chose to maximize Popovich's last few years here. Whether that's a good decision, I guess we're gonna see. But I mean, let's get it. I mean, I can't wait for the season to start. I mean, as soon as this podcast ends, I'm going straight to Ticketmaster. Like, I want to see these Raptor prices. Are they even released yet? I have no idea. Are these even out yet? I'll have to take a look. But that'll wrap it up for us here at ISO Pod. Thank you again for joining us here on the live YouTube stream, going over what was one of the bigger blockbuster trades in a long time. I mean, I don't think any trade even last year topped something like this. The Butler trade, I don't think it was as big. I don't even think the Kyrie trade was as big, just considering the magnitude of the player.
This
could have been the bigger. Exactly. So great to have us. Great to have you guys on. I know a couple of you guys were tuning in on the live stream, and then obviously it'll be available after once we get off. But can't wait for the season to start. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with the Western Conference overview, and again we'll touch on the Spurs a little bit deeper. But that one is in the queue, so stay tuned for that. But until then, we will see you soon. Take it easy. Perfect.